Okay, so time for a new video update. What do we have so far? As we know, Bitcoin broke our trend line here. We also broke structure back to bullish right now. And the overall picture is looking pretty bullish if you ask me. If we look at this high, and we just front read it. So we also have equal highs here, and price always loves to take that out sooner or later. And then we have all-time high not too far away from us. If we zoom in some more, we can see that after we broke aggressively higher here, we are now forming a range with our range high, our range low, and we are now consolidating. Since it's Wednesday, we got some good statistics to work with. So let's look at the weekly low. Our weekly low is still located here from where we started to pump. And then our Monday's high, which is also our weekly high, is at this level. So this is basically the same situation as we had last week, where we can watch for one of the two levels to be taken out, in which the other side will become very strong. Which means, to me, if we look at structure, everything to me is pointing that it's more likely to take out our weekly high than it is to take out our weekly low. Especially since we had CPI today and it didn't cause much movement. So I think it's a matter of time before we push higher. And then we can know that if we take out this weekly high, where we are pretty close to, that this low becomes very strong and that higher prices for the remainder of the week are very likely. So what we can do is, let's quickly look at the statistics. Did I put them there? No. Let's put them in the screen. Here. So for the current day, the statistics are not that interesting because they are very close to each other. But here on the weekly, moderate, if we look at the time statistic, moderate flip risk, 39.4% of the weeks took out the weekly low. So that's not too confident, but still in favor of the week low holding. And we can see unlikely that P2 is in 95% of weeks from a new P2 after Monday. So that means that if this is our low, it's very likely that we will make a new high later in the week. No warning signs, and if we look at distance statistics, a low P1 flip risk, only 21% of the weeks took out the weekly low. So since here we started the week, we pushed up aggressively. This move is quite significant. So only in 20%, so in 1 out of the 5 times, price would make this much of a move upwards and then take out this low afterwards. So that's in favor of upside. Then unlikely that P2 is in 92.9%, so 93% of the weeks moved further than 5.1%. This shows that it is likely that we will see a bigger displacement as we currently have between this low and that high. Then we can also use the pivot zones, which last week we were on the opposing side, which was the bearish week, and then we can see that we exactly hit our bearish target last week. Right now we started our low here and we pushed up, and I said in the video Monday that if we would take out that high on Tuesday, that in my opinion this could potentially be the high of the week and we would see continuation lower. But since we did not do that, I'm inclined to believe that this is actually our weekly low, that this high is going to be taken out sooner or later, and that once that level is getting taken out, we have a confirmed bullish week. If we do this, then we have a confirmed bullish week in which this is our confirmed low. And in that case, in 80% of the cases, price would make its way into the upper section of the pivot zones, with the max being around 180k, but the minimum is here at weekly high, so around 111k. And then we can see that we are very close to the all-time high area already. So it wouldn't surprise me to see all-time high levels later this week. Then if we quickly, here we have that those equal highs. So my bias is to look for longs. Initially I wanted to see a sweep of our range low into this demand and then look for long triggers. I'm still interested in that, But as we know, Bitcoin not always gives that opportunity. So what's interesting to look at then is that we have weekly statistics, we have daily statistics, but we also have session statistics. So if we look at the session, then New York is from hour 12 till hour 20. You have basically the New York session, and the New York session is the session where most volatility happens, and it's becoming, it's increasing more and more because American market is getting more involved. So often what we see is that here we can exactly switch to the session, and we can see that right now our session low is P1, hour 12, and our session high hour 14. Then if we look here, session low P1 flip risk, only 21% of the sessions took out the session low. So this is a strong low based on session. Unlikely that P2 is in, 95% of sessions form a new P2. Okay, so strong low, weak high. If we look at distance statistics, low P1 flip risk, 24% of the sessions took out the session low and 96% moved further. So here we can see that on the session it shows that this is a strong low, this is a weak high. That's pretty interesting because that already gives us an edge that we can potentially look for longs with this or like your stop loss below this indentation, because you got you are baked by statistics that show that low is more likely to hold. Then I see a little demand, price tapped into that demand, then we saw a bounce, then this high is likely to be taken out, and if we take out this high we are already really close to taking out our weekly high, in which the weekly statistics come into play to look for much higher prices. So that's a pretty interesting low time frame game plan. You can even see that we mitigated this little demand, in which you can look for longs and then get with that bullish bias. Let's see if we have something on the low time frame. Mitigated demand right here, push up, scammy price action, push up, push down, took not yet this high. Then your most local structure is this, so you could wait for that to flip back to bullish. Let's say we make a new low, and another strategy is to look at our 50 is already ended right here. That's the strategy that trader Yip has taught me, so shout out to him. Right here between hour 12, which is here, and hour 15, you almost always, I think in 80% of the cases, print your session low or your session high for New York, which means that currently this is our session low, this is our session high, and if we take out one of those two, so let's say you are conservative and you wait for this level to be taken out, then continuation higher is very likely, and this low is very strong. So in that case you could take a long, upon taking out that high, stop loss below that low, and then the session already shows us again that 96% of the sessions moved further than minimum 0.3%. So then we can, it is a wide stop, I don't really like to play it like that, but then you could aim for that higher levels. But what I personally am doing, I'm not acting in that way because I don't want to long it at these local highs. I'm gonna personally wait, just patiently wait, and to see if we maybe tomorrow or later still get a move towards this lower part of this local range and then get into longs, or just look for a continuation longs. If we indeed take out this high, make a new weekly high, then tomorrow and Friday and even going into the weekend, we can look for longs to target that new all-time high. And more interestingly, we can look for, let's clean the chart up, we can look for altcoins, because while Bitcoin is ranging here and the overall bias is bullish, even if we go down here, consolidate here and then create a deviation or something like that, the overall bias is still to look for higher prices. And while Bitcoin is consolidating, we can see that Ethereum is taking the lead, and it's actually taking out that high right now as we speak. Right here. That's a big level, and above this level there is not much until plus $3,000. So it can go fast, and in my opinion, if we see a breakout here and not a really quick rejection, then we could enter a really fun phase of the cycle where we see altcoins take off. So bias on bullish, bias on ETH for now bullish. Don't jump into longs right here. But this is a good sign for altcoins, and we see that all the altcoins are struggling a bit. Solana is showing a bit of weird price action, but interested in longs in this demand and in shorts a little higher. Sui slowly grinding higher. I would like to personally see that take out. So I would not, I would embrace a quick flush on some alts to get some good positions, but often it doesn't need to happen. So let's see what ETH is gonna do here. ETH, I just saw the pivot zones that ETH is already on the weekly. This shows how dead ETH has been lately. That it's already pushing out of its weekly pivot zone. So that's pretty funny to see. For now, don't blindly jump into shorts just because it's going up. Your structure is clearly to the upside. So at least break below here, but overall, it's looking strong. Open interest is at all-time high, so be careful because it can. I'm not sure if it are mainly longs or shorts, but one of the two sides will get wrecked. So be careful with using two tight stops. Don't long the top, just wait for your setups. And for Bitcoin, I think the plan is clear. Higher prices are likely. Take out our weekly high, and we have confirmed that we potentially are on the way to new all-time highs. Dips are for buying. You could already take some risks here by getting in a position, betting on that session low to hold. Like the session low is looking pretty good. So let's say you break above here, break your local structure back to bullish, get a little bit of an earlier entry, stop loss there, let it run to new all-time highs and maybe beyond. Could be a strategy. I'm not your signal provider. So overall stuff looks good. If we look at USDT dominance, then we broke structure back to bearish, and right now price is trending down. Right here we have a little demand zone, but the structure is looking pretty aggressive. So if we push lower here, the next demand I'm looking at is at the range lows right here, which would mean, which would equal with Bitcoin going to new highs. So that seems like the most likely outcome right now. To invalidate this, we want to break structure back to bullish right here. So I have an alert there. For now this looks weak, and the crypto market looks pretty strong. So plan is clear. Look for longs. Be careful with shorts, and don't FOMO in. I see on Twitter everyone is getting euphoric again, and you're missing out and stuff like that. Don't be influenced by that. Just trade your setups. They will always come. Don't FOMO in because you will always get wrecked. Because let's say your price goes here and you enter here. Where is your inflation? When are you wrong? You probably get in out of emotions. You don't have a plan, and once you're in that position, you can't think properly anymore. You start to make stupid mistakes, and on the first little push lower, you cash out, and you see price go higher, and then you're just in an emotional roller coaster you don't want to be. So always make your plans, create your levels. Where do you want to do business? Do business there. Wait for your setup, and don't be influenced. You're not missing out on anything. they're always screaming that on every little push, and then afterwards you will see that it is almost always just best to wait for your setups to present themselves. So that was update. I think I'm talking too long already, so I'm just gonna cut it off here. Thanks for tuning in again, and cheers.